Let this be our national goal. At the end of this decade, in the year 1980, the United States will not be dependent on any other country for the energy we need to provide our jobs, to heat our homes, and to keep our transportation moving.
President Richard Nixon addressing the nation in 1974. That national goal he laid out for the year 1980 has become our perennial presidentially endorsed national goal ever since. Energy independence, the single most agreed upon issue in modern American politics, maybe. Everyone, left, right, and center, wants energy independence for America.
One of the reasons I ran for president was to put America on the path to energy independence.
To protect our energy prices at levels which will achieve energy independence.
We've gone from a position of energy independence to one in which almost half the oil we use comes from foreign countries.
We can't conserve our way to energy independence.
By deregulating oil, we've come closer to achieving energy independence.
It's time to get off this roller coaster ride and time to chart a new course to energy independence.
We're going to have energy independence, and we're going to have it in 10 years, and we're going to achieve it.
We must declare our independence again, our energy independence.
I think most people in America think that our energy policy ought to have a goal of energy independence.
Want to know why the ever-popular, bipartisan, no-dissent, all-American issue of energy independence is still a campaign slogan and not something that we've achieved? Even today, 36 years after Nixon declared it a goal to be accomplished 30 years ago? It's because it's not a real thing, at least not the way everybody's been talking about it for the past 4 decades.
A strong America begins at home, with energy independence from the Middle East.
We're going to stop sending $700 billion a year to countries that don't like us very much. It's going to stop.
For the sake of our economy, our security, and the future of our planet, I will set a clear goal as president. In 10 years, we will finally end our dependence on oil from the Middle East.
We will set this country firmly on a course towards energy independence.
From a totally nonpartisan standpoint, that is awesome campaign rhetoric. Awesome campaign rhetoric that is not related at all to how stuff actually works in the real world. Oil that is drilled here in America isn't just trucked down the road to mom and pop's Made in America gasoline store, where we can all do our patriotic duty and fill up our tanks with totally safe, domestically drilled, American-only oil. It goes instead to a place called the international market, where all the rest of the world's oil goes to, even the stuff from the Middle East. And that's where we buy it from. We don't buy American oil. We buy world oil, like everyone does. So when your friendly neighborhood politician tells you we need to drill more oil here at home so that we won't be so dependent on the Saudi Arabia or your bullpucky dictator of choice, your bullpucky detector should be going off loudly. Because the thing is, oil companies are international companies, and the market for oil is an international market. And oil is fungible, which means there's no such thing as our oil supply or the Middle East's oil supply. There's only the oil supply. It all goes to the same place, and we have to buy it. We all buy it from that one world marketplace, which kind of makes you wonder what the great advantage of drilling more of it here at home is, if we know we're just going to have to buy it back from the international market and these global corporations anyway. It can't be that we think it's safer to drill it here. And yet we are so desperate to send more of this country's oil to the international market that we're giving oil companies subsidies to the tune of billions of dollars to drill offshore in America, in the Gulf Coast, where we now know it's really not safe. If we were being smart about oil in this country, knowing that we have to buy it from the same place no matter what, wouldn't we want oil to be drilled in the safest way possible? And for America, sorry to be short-sighted here, but wouldn't that be not in our backyard? And not in the backyard of 40% of our nation's wetlands? There is, of course, a marginal risk associated with tankers, with transporting oil using tankers. But frankly, Honestly, that's not the argument anybody's making here. That's not the grounds on which people say we need to be energy independent so we don't have to move the oil a far way. That's not the grounds on which domestic drilling is being promoted. The argument is that if we drill the oil here, we will have energy independence from other countries. And it's a well-meaning, good-hearted argument being made from all over the political spectrum. But it is not a well-thought-out argument. Energy independence is not the issue. The issue is dependence on oil, period. And it's an important distinction because we are at a point where we actually need to do something about our dependence on oil. And we can't do anything meaningful about it unless we change the grounds on which this argument is taking place. Unless we have the argument we should be having, we're capable of having, which is an argument not about where and whether and how much oil we drill. It's about the fact that we use too much oil. If we're really truly going to try to solve the energy crisis we are actually in this country, we need to be precise about what the crisis is. And that means ditching the platitudes and the speechifying about energy independence and admitting that the crisis is oil. It's not where we get oil or how we get oil. It's just oil. And an oil crisis cannot be solved by drilling more oil anywhere. If we as a country are ready to fire that one extra synapse and think seriously about the real problem at hand, the problem of oil and the fact that we need too much of it, then we can start talking about what we can do, what we're actually capable of doing to solve our oil problem. And then we can face up to what we're going to have to sacrifice in order to do it. It's going to be a pretty painful conversation, but here's the thing, it's only going to get more painful the longer we put it off.